Hi, my name's Esther, and as you probably already know, I'm a big fan of Angry Birds merchandise. However, there is one merchandise company that to me deserves way more attention, and that is Tactic. They made a bunch of Angry Birds related stuff in 2012 to 2013, such as Kimble, Yatzy, and action games. And today I want to go over the stuff they made. So strap in, because we are going deep into Angry Birds Tactic merchandise. And just before we begin, I need to let you know that only around 20% of people that watch my videos actually subscribe. So I would really appreciate it if you became one of those people. Before we go to the actually interesting merchandise though, I want to give a bit of spotlight to other, less interesting merch. Kimble. It's basically just Kimble with Angry Birds theming. The rules are, well, just like in normal Kimble. I'm not going to explain Kimble to you. They made a Kimble for Classic, Space and Movie, with each one having unique molds for the pieces. Classic had red, chalk, bomb and blue. Space had red, chalk, bomb and iceberg, and Movie had red, chalk, bomb and a hatchling? Odd choice. Personally, Stella would have fit way better, but that's practically it. However, there's one odd thing about the classic Kimble. While it released at almost the same time as the action games, it has 3rd gen packaging, while action games have a 4th gen packaging. Why did that happen? Were the Kimble games finalized earlier? I don't know. But that is all for Kimble. Let's move on to the other less important lines. Dice game, or Yahtzee, is just, well, Angry Birds themed Yahtzee. I really want to say some interesting stuff about these, but I just cannot sometimes, like with this one or with Lotto, for example. There's just nothing to talk about. Power cards. Now this is a way more interesting line. It has not only classic and space versions, but also football ones? What? And it uses tunes while the others use classic designs? Why? Anyway, their rules are as follow. One value on the top card of all players is compared. You win all cards of the round with the highest value. From cards you won, you lay out a 3-part construct. If you then find a pig in your cards, you place it on the construct and read out its slingshot value. The other players read out its value from their top card. If the pig wins, it takes all cards on the table, even other constructs. Otherwise, the winner only takes the pig and all other top cards. If you're out of cards in hand, you demote your construct one by one. If you're out of cards, you must quit. If you are the last one with cards, you win. There's a bunch of these cards, they are really nice. But again, there is nothing too special. They are for sure better than Lotto or Yahtzee though. The best piece of trivia I can provide is these display boxes that they came in for all 3 of the packs, and 2 of them are still easily available on eBay. I might have to grab one of these actually. Okay, I lied. There's one more thing, and that's the cancelled and unreleased Bad Piggies Power cards. Only source of information about them is this stock image, which also has prototype designs for the classic and space power cards, which personally I prefer over the released ones. And from which I can speculate that the Bad Piggies pack was ultimately replaced by the soccer cards. Odd decision, but unfortunately one that they stuck with. Oh man, I might absolutely butcher this name. Petanque. A really odd piece of merchandise. It has the characters as these soft balls, and it's placed like this. You pick a set of birds and throw them at the pig. The goal is to land the birds closer to the pig than the other players. The first player to get 10 points, which means that they got closest 10 times, wins. It's a nice piece, but again nothing special. But it is probably the best so far. March 2012. Tactic releases possibly their greatest line of Angry Birds products yet. The action games. There are the table and giant action games, so let's talk about the table games first, as they are way simpler and there's less to talk about. The classic table action game contains figures of Red, Chuck, Bomb, Minion Pig and King Pig, as well as these wooden blocks with the Angry Birds logo in them, cardboard pieces that have the blocks on them, a board to play on, and stars to keep track of the score. It plays like this. You build a structure, you throw the birds, then see where the pig lands. The board is split into sections, each one giving a different amount of points. The further the pig goes, the less points you get. The person with the most points gets a star, and the first player to get 3 stars wins. Some prototype/concept photos of the box have actually surfaced recently, showing different ways the game would have looked. And hold on, is that Mattel? Later in early 2013, a space version of the game released, and it was practically the same, but space themed. The figures are now Super Red, Iceberg Firebomb, as well as Frozen Minion and King Pig. The blocks have now the Angry Birds space logo, and the board is space themed as well. Other than that, it's practically the same. One concept box photo has surfaced, but that is all. This game is by far the least interesting, but it looks really nice, and personally, I prefer this one over Classic. But now, it's time to take a look at the action games giant, which are the true stars of the show. The Classic game released in March of 2012 alongside the table game. It contained little plushies of Red and Chuck, a rubber minion pig, a few wooden blocks with the Angry Birds logo on it, a mat to play on, nose to keep track of the score, and a bag to contain all the items. The rules are the same as the table games, so I won't be explaining that again. What this game did different is that it had add-ons, additional characters you could buy. Each add-on came with the character, a block, and a card that had a QR code, which would have taken you to a site that unfortunately does not exist anymore. The characters you could have bought were Red, Chuck, Blue, Bomb, Matilda, Hal, Stella, Minion Pig, and King Pig. Oh yeah, and there was also a 4-block pack. Interestingly, the Classic Game Giant released with 2 completely different boxes. One, which is the one most people know with a window for the bag, and this one, which as far as I know, was released only in Europe, so it's like an international release? But then the other box was also sold in Europe? This is all confusing as hell. Editing sister here, look what I found. What the hell is this? It looks nothing like any other action game I've ever seen. And the mat is yellow, so I can only assume it's a sample of sorts, or at least some kind of prototype, right? And on the same profile, I found this photo, which unfortunately is pixelated as hell, but I can kind of see the action game behind the King Pig. So, what is that? Is that a sample? A version I've never seen? And what is that other mat? Cause it sure as hell looks like the Angry Birds logo is on it. I can't tell anything else about it though. It's all strange. Even more confusing are the concept samples that have surfaced. There are ones with different looking mats, these weird renders instead of the plushies, third-gen packaging concepts, which also apply to add-ons. In fact, for every add-on except the blocks, there's a concept stock photo with a render instead of a plush in the image. But the weirdest sample of all has to be this one. It uses a completely different mat, and instead of their plushies and rubber pig, they use Commonwealth's plush toys? Another interesting thing is the Finland promotion, where they would drive in this promotional van around Finland promoting their toys, but also Commonwealth plushies in a way. The entirety of the van was decorated, including the inside, and all I gotta say is this thing looks fire. From my own memory, I can remember there was a thing like this in Poland in a Warsaw shopping mall, where they had the Space and Classic Action Games Giant. And also a 48-inch Red, which was very nice to see. One last thing I wanna mention are these Polish display boxes for the characters themselves. The red and blend one was imported by a Polish company called Daffy. They would sell the add-ons supposedly without the original box around the country. Now this other one, that's a different story. It's called a Super Pack, a display containing 40, yes, 40 of the Game Giant characters, distributed by a company called Adenenum. The assortment was the same as with Daffy, so it was Red, Chuck, Blue, Stella, King Pig, Super Red, Laser Chuck, and Frozen Pig. Surprisingly, they were selling it in 2016, 3 years after the original game came out. Odd. Now let's look at the Space Action Game Giant. It contains Super Red and Laser Chuck plushies and a rubber Frozen Pig, a space-themed mat, wooden blocks with the Angry Birds Space logo on them, and the rest was the same. However, this game never got any add-ons, unfortunately. Or did it? On Tactics YouTube page and multiple other places, there are trailers/ads for the action games. So let's take a look at them, shall we? What? Knock on Wood 2011 bird molds? Huh? Knock on Wood 2013 bird and pig molds? Huh? The box has Tactic pig molds and Mattel bird molds, but the ones at the front are from Knock on Wood 2013? Why did that happen? What was Tactic on while making this? Also, just worth mentioning that 2 of the trailers were available in multiple languages such as Polish. Okay, what the actual fuck? Commonwealth plushies? Completely different mat? This is basically that sample we looked at earlier. What? More Commonwealth plushies advertised as add-ons? What the fuck? Now, this trailer is okay. It's cool and is one of the 2 that was in a few languages. Everything seems normal for now. Yep, wait. Hold on now. What was that? What? Space Game add-ons? So yeah, Space Game Giant was supposed to have add-ons. Icebird and Firebomb. But they didn't release, and according to Tactic themselves, who I contacted to get more clear info on these, they were cancelled cause Angry Birds was on the downward trajectory at that point anyway. But hey, at least I got these semi-HD stock photos. But at last, this is the end of the story. Ooh, you wouldn't believe how long this video took. It might be my biggest, debatably my best video yet. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a good time, and bye! Welcome to the post-credit scene. Here I'll show you a couple fun things I found but either forgot or didn't have a good moment to include. For example, some stock photos, some in-store photos of the action games and so on. Or here, Peter Westerbakke and Tactic CEO playing the action game Giant at the world premiere of the toy. And have a bunch more, because why not? I have them, I didn't use them, so here. And there's actually 2 pieces of information that is pretty important that I forgot to mention somehow, some way. Action Game Giant actually has 2 names. That being Action Game Giant and Outdoor Action Game. Why? Why not? And the power cards have 2 different box designs. The only difference being the Power Cards logo being on one, and on the other, it's just text in the Angry Birds font.
So we're here at Angry Birds Land and about to kick off the summer tour of 2012 with Angry Birds and Tactics. So now this is going to be opportunity for all of you to play the Angry Birds outdoor action game, and of course the Angry Birds space race Kimble as well. So why don't you join us at one of our stops? There's lots of Angry Birds stuff in the back of the car, and of course you have an opportunity to play the game. So yeah, see you there.